Welcome back to Wa Samaki. My name's Erle Naruna. I'm the director here at Wa Samaki Ecosystems, and we're just giving you an update on what's been happening since the last video came out. So the main focus that's happened over the last couple of months is finishing Malia and Kenneth's house, which they've been working on quite effectively. And then we've started this project of utilizing this piece of land here that we haven't utilized in a long time, where we're putting up a little house over here, a tiny house with a bedroom, a kitchen, a washroom and a closet. That's it, and a nice porch. And we've worked with redesigning this site that tends to flood during the rainy season and burn during the dry season, so that we've done a lot of earthworks here that have created this nice pond that we can capture lots of clean water in it for us to do our crops. As well as it gives us now the ability to fight fires that tend to come from that direction, by having water on site that's close by and having a presence over here where normally fire will just rush across and then also affect the neighbors. The project itself started about 2 months ago, where we did the earthworks with a large excavator. We created the pond. We actually collected all the organic matter from on site and just stored it in one spot that it'll break down as like a big compost heap, and then we will use that organic matter back on the land. We've also started planting vetiver grass all around the edges to help stabilize the banks. The pond is full now, so we have enough water to do all the projects we want to do. It's just to monitor to see how it behaves as it dries up or as this weather gets drier. And then on the house, the foundation went up about 2 months ago. We had 15 students visiting from OCAD-U in Toronto, and they helped us put up some of the posts, and now we're just framing up the building, and then eventually we're gonna start using material from right around here to do tapia, to do the walls, and then we will have a new building on site. So right now we're by Kenneth and Malia's house. It's a house that they've been working on for the last 3 years, that as they have time they've been building it themselves mainly. It's a house made from teak and clay, involving a lot of recycled material as well, so we can go inside and take a look and see where they've reached. Because it's a tiny house, they actually have an outdoor kitchen. So this is the kitchen that's slowly coming into use now. Because construction's been happening all the time, it's a little bit messy, but it has a counter, it has a gas stove, it also has a rocket stove over here. So she can do some cooking on the rocket stove as well as the gas stove as backup if we want. It has a little sink. The grey water from the sink will run into a little banana patch in the back. And then this area over here will eventually be covered, and there'll just be a little porch that connects the house to the kitchen. So again, because it's a tiny house, it's laid out in a way that a lot of activities will actually happen outdoors, and you're really inside the house as little as possible. Okay. Hi, how are you? What you working on? Plastering? Alright. So yeah, this is the entrance. This is actually the main house, or the main part of the house. This is what they had originally planned. So it was a tiny space where they'll have a little kitchenette in here, the main kitchen outside. Again, they've recycled a lot of bottles into the walls. The windows themselves are old sliding doors that have been repurposed. All of these little square bricks are from other projects where they've been taking down houses, and they've just been repurposing some of the material that is available that would have normally just gone to the dump. So the original plan for this house was the bedroom is up over there. It's just a tiny loft, and this will be kind of the living space underneath. And I think they envisioned it just being the two of them for a little while, but now there's number 3 coming along. So they've added on an extra room. So they quickly realized that the tiny house was maybe a little too small, and it might be a little bit technical to climb up these stairs and go into that short space up there with a child. So there's an added room over here. These are the doors that they've put up. It's a mix of different types of woods that are available in Trinidad, and part of what we do at Wa Samaki is just show people the different options of local woods that are here, because a lot of times people just use pine or pitch pine or something like that. So there's a little shower over here that's recently been tiled. They've actually tiled the floor. The living room itself has a earthen floor, which they will leave as earthen. They're actually testing different types of plasters over here to go onto the floor. So there's 3 different types that they've put together. I don't know the exact details on them, but there's this finish, and there's this finish. So that once all the construction finishes in here, they will go with one of these. I think it has lime, clay, and some of it might have donkey manure in it. And that will be the final finish on the floor here. And if that is causing any dust, then they may put a couple of layers of linseed oil, and then that will seal it up and they will have a nice floor. It's nice having an earthen floor because when you're barefoot on it, you kind of ground yourself well. Roger, they're just coming in quickly. They're just filming something, and then I can leave you in peace. So this is the nursery room in a way, the add-on. It has a beautiful view out into the flowers. So we grow cut flowers, and this is like one of Malia's favorite spots, where she looks into the ginger lilies with all the vines growing on the mango trees. There will be a composting toilet that goes over here. It's a very small composting toilet, so how it'll actually work is there will be a bucket that you do all your stuff in. You put sawdust in, and as the bucket fills, it then goes out where it'll be composted somewhere else. There are many different types of composting toilets. This is a very small one. And then there'll be a little laundry room over here. And you can see that they've used a color in this finish now. They still have all the bottles in there. So the inside of the house is almost ready, and they hope to be moving into here by the end of the month. And then they'll slowly work on the outside of the house to finish all the plastering. We're putting up a little house over there, and we're redesigning this area. This area used to flood a lot.
Oh.
As well as there's housing coming up over here that all of their grey water is going to come down onto this piece of land, so we've redesigned it in a way that their water would now stay off the pond.
Right.
So that any polluted water coming off the hill would go into this drain, run into this river, and go around us. And then the water that we're collecting within here is clean water that comes off the neighbor that also does permaculture. So she doesn't use much chemicals or anything like that on it. So it involved building a berm over here, and collecting water. So part of permaculture is really, if you don't have water, you can't do most types of agriculture.
Right.
And with climate change and how the weather is changing a lot, just having a lot of water saved on your land is a good idea. So that we've designed the pond in this way to collect water, and then we're now stabilizing the banks with vetiver grass. We're planting flowers along the edge because we sell cut flowers, so that we're using as much of the space as possible. And then because we still have to deal with some of the flooding issues on the inside, we're going to be starting to plant food just on the berms for now, and then as we get the feedback of how this whole site's working, we're going to plant more food on the inside. It's more of a project that maybe people can Airbnb the building, or as I get older I might move here, and the big house that I'm in, we might use that for intern housing and stuff like that. Right. Because I don't need a big house anymore. So that is kind of the outlook that we're using. And then we're also using this site to teach people about how to take a site that's just been bulldozed and excavated, and then start building back the soil, putting back plants, starting to grow food again. As well as when we excavated the site, all of the bush and stuff that was on the site got put in that pile over there. And that big pile over there is like a big pile of compost right now that eventually all that material we will put back onto the soil. Most people will pile up stuff and then just burn it, but when you do that you lose a lot of the nutrients from the land as well. So we try to avoid burning as much as possible, and anything that's organic goes back into the soil, because good soil is good food is healthy people. So there weren't any trees here, just because of the fires all the time. So part of it is re-establishing the soil and then planting a mix of fruit trees as well as some of the other big timber trees wherever there's space, and then encouraging a lot of the wildlife to come back in as well. So there's fish in the pond, all different kinds already. There were some small ponds here that had such wabi, coscarab, cascadoo, things like that, so they're in here. And there's 1 or 2 caimans that have shown up already. So, and this is the house. So it's again kind of built under the concept of just a small footprint house. So there's nothing huge and fancy in it. It has a high roof just to keep off the heat. It has a porch because in the tropics might as well be outside. The weather's great all the time. So it's just a kitchen, a bedroom, a closet and a washroom. So it's a very simple design. All of the big posts in here is from teak that we've grown. So we've harvested the teak, we've shaved it off just like Malaya's house. We've put it up on the concrete base over here. And well, it also has teak as all the framing. That teak's not from this farm. Just the schedule of putting up this building didn't allow us to use some of the teak to do some of the framing, but we're hoping that eventually we can build a few more of these cabins around the farm using more of the natural resources. As you can see, we're on clay, and the clay is perfect to do the walls, so we're going to be using all the resources of the clay around this area to do tapia, to do the walls, and pretty much most of the resources, once the framing is done, will just come from the land. So we're planting the vetiver grass, and we'll use the vetiver grass to mix with the clay. So the water that comes off the neighbors actually goes into a little pond around there, and then that pond comes around to fill this big pond, so that we're trying to keep the water on the land clean. The neighbor has taken a permaculture course here before, so she practices kind of clean agriculture. She doesn't use a lot of pesticides or chemicals on her land, so the water coming off her land is clean, that we can pick it up and put it up in here. So Laura's actually flown in from Antigua to take the course. Laura, hi, can we come up? So Brett's filming. So Laura's visiting from Antigua. Laura, what made you come and take the course?
I've always been interested in permaculture, and I saw you on Instagram.
Right.
And you were working in Barbados when I saw you, and then you advertised that you were having a course here. So I reached out, and here I am.
So what do you do on your farm?
Right now I have bees, mainly. I do some chickens, but my chickens are normally, I do seasonal meat chickens, so in the morning, mainly around Christmas time, but bees are usually my main business.
And how's your stay here at Wa Samaki so far? How's the cabin working? Because
the cabin is great. It has the most amazing view. I saw the caiman yesterday morning while I was having breakfast on the porch, so it's amazing.
And have you used a compost toilet before?
I've never used a compost toilet until I came here. It was the first time. It was a very easy experience. And I must say, anybody who's worried about compost toilet smells or anything like that, there's nothing.
So this is our little cabin. The compost toilet is separate. It looks just like a regular toilet. We have fancy cob walls and everything around it. And instead of flushing, you actually use sawdust, which is in the bucket over there, and it collects in a barrel underneath. And then pretty much, so because we use compost, there's no smell, there's no flies, there's nothing like that. And then once the barrel reaches a certain height of filling, then we pull it out and put a next barrel. We let the barrel sit for a year, and then we use the compost from the barrel around some of the flowers that we have. So that's just a little bit about composting toilets. And then she has an outdoor shower. Well, just it goes down to the shower over there. and we're actually doing cob walls on both sides as well. So we're now getting it ready that people can come and spend a night over here if they want, and they can go birdwatch or they can go walk around the farm, things like that, or just get away. We will have ongoing workshops. Right now we have a permaculture design course happening where people are spending 2 weeks here at Wa Samaki learning about how to design sustainable and regenerative sites. So it's really about assessing the sites and following the permaculture principles to trap water, provide energy, grow food, do all kinds of things. And then we'll also be running small workshops around the bigger permaculture workshop, that if you want to learn about root crops, or you want to learn about stingless bees, or you want to learn about natural construction, we will be doing those workshops as well. So you can follow us on social media. We're on Wa Samaki Permaculture on Instagram, Wa Samaki Permaculture on Facebook, and our email address is wasamakiproducts@gmail.com. Just send us a message and we'll get back to you. We also offer tours, so feel free to contact us.